they would have to put on a brave face standing in the line of fire.
The phone rang and I answered the phone, and the lady's voice in hysteria is on the phone. Mister, I just hear a loud explosion in town. So I said, where in town? She said, I don't know, but it's somewhere like Richmond Street. And the phone went down. So I went outside looking for a crew to go in pursuit. I didn't see anybody. I came back inside, phone rang again. I answered, a deliberate male voice, tell Madeira. The police headquarters are under attack. What kind of attack? I asked the man.
The police headquarters in downtown Port Spain has been gutted by fire.
I went back outside again. Didn't find a crew and I came back. And as I came back in, this is now closer to 5:45 in the evening, I heard gunfire outside, and I went outside and I saw a gunman walking from the main building into the old building where we were housed in the newsroom. And I ran back inside and I told Dominic Kaliprasad and Vern Burnett, who were there, that a gunman is coming. He's wearing black and he has a gun in his hand. And I went to the back of the newsroom where we had some editing suites, under a table hiding.
Meanwhile, in the capital city, the Jamaat al-Muslimin stormed the parliament and held persons inside hostage, including the then Prime Minister A.N.R. Robinson. The police headquarters was firebombed. At Trinidad and Tobago Television, the storytellers in the newsroom would become the stories. Vern Burnett, Gideon Hanumansing, Dominic Kaliprasad were inside the newsroom. Over 20 additional persons were held hostage.
So I had my hands raised over my head and I walked out. As I walked out, I saw the same man with the gun looking at me. And he said, what are you doing in the back there? Don't stay there. Come in front, come in front. You're not our enemy. You are our friend. Come in the newsroom. And as I walked in the newsroom, his tone changed from a nice, calm, comforting person to the rebel that he really was. Get your ass on the ground.
Neil Giuseppe, now an executive assistant at Telco, had just left TTT after picking up a package.
And what saved me was the fact that there was football in the stadium that evening. And I was planning to go to the match. Trinidad was playing. And at 25-6, I told Jones, it's time for me to leave. And I left and headed for the stadium. 25 minutes after I left, Abu Bakr and the boys arrived.
My sister she had actually just started working at TTT when the incident happened. I think she got home maybe about half an hour before things started to kick off, right? Which was great because I know my mother would have gone downtown to get her back. And it would not have ended well for anybody who was involved in that.
But it was not all smiles for Dominic Kaliprasad, Vern Burnett and Gideon Hanumansing.
Shortly after, one of his accomplices came and said to us, all you go against the wall there, line up against the wall. Well, of course, Vern got scared. I was scared as well, and so too was Dominic. And Vern asked, well, what is this, boy? I said, just that. Hellfire. A third came in and said the Imam wants them in the studio. We went to the studio. For the first time, I was seeing Abu Bakr up front and close. And of course, he made his announcement.
At 6 p.m. this afternoon, the government of Trinidad and Tobago was overthrown. The Prime Minister and members of the cabinet are under arrest. We are asking everybody to remain calm. The revolutionary forces are commanded to control the streets.
It just did not seem real. People thought that it was a play going on in the studio.
I know most people speak about that moment where they thought it was play of the month, which speaks to a testament of one of the longest running things on TTT at the time, you know.
Dominic also is involved in theater. which is something that not a lot of people know about him to this day. You know, he was you know, involved in Caribbean Theatre Guild, and he's quite a good actor. And so I think that some part of my mind, when I saw this thing going on television with Dominic, and you know, on the news set with these armed men behind him,
and you thought, well, maybe this is a soap opera or something, you know, and then you realize it's for real.
And it would have taken a while for people to understand, well, this ain't no play of the month. You know, it was a bunch of bad actors.
Discipline, tolerance, and production are not just words to us. They're part of our identity. And when we decide to violate our identity, there is no coming back from it.
You know, this is the importance of media. The importance of media is to show the society itself, so that we learn from things that we've done. We learn that this thing that we did was kind of stupid, right? This thing that we did was really good, so let's see how we can replicate that in as many ways as possible. This thing, it was horrendous, but we need to tell the story so that we understand the context of other horrendous things that are going on in this society. And the fact that the people who are on the front line of that, the journalists, the media people who were at the radio station and at TTT, you know, tried their best to hold us together through that process. You know, I mean, I don't know if we have fully understood and appreciated, you know, what that means for our society. And I think now we disparage the media a lot, with reason a lot of times, but we also must look at, you know, moments like this when our media have really stood on the front line with us and for us in a way that we cannot repay.
6 days of horror had come to an end. The time for healing as a people and a nation had only just begun. A nation grappling with the effects of an attempted coup was made to pick up the pieces. At TTT, one of the buildings was completely destroyed, the other seriously damaged. Archives destroyed. Production houses would now take up the mantle, supplying content to the station. Many of its owners would have been shaped by TTT. Following the events of the attempted coup, TTT rose to the occasion, creating exciting and engaging content with its tagline, "It's yours," taking local programming to the next level, with nation-building content designed to inspire the citizenry. Then, in 2005, workers would face yet another hearing of the company's closure. For them, it was the end of an era.
The national anthem was played, and then the instruction was given, okay, you can pull the plug now on master control. Oh my God. And you just heard.
That is why I remember shedding a tear one Friday night in January 2005. I shed a tear as I watched the end of an era in Trinidad and Tobago. Despite its inevitability, however, I could hardly believe that I was witnessing the dismantling of an institution that had been born on the night we won our freedom from Britain. an institution that had struggled with us through the good years and the bad years, and which, whether we want to admit it or not, had played a major role in molding the lives of each and every one of us. On that Friday night, Trinidad and Tobago Television, or TTT as we all knew it, signed off for the very last time. And, like the cowboys of old who graced the screens for decades, rode off into the sunset, never to return to Dodge.
I felt like I was gutted, like if death of the worst kind had happened, and it was horrible. It was terrible.
In one sense, it was good for me because Gael, the television channel, started at the same time. So that meant one less competition for the advertisers at that time. But everyone was sorry to see TTT go, but at the same time there was this promise that it might come back better.
The Caribbean New Media Group would become the station's successor. The new entity was expected to lead the charge in broadcasting with state-of-the-art equipment and local content. The station played a part in our media landscape for just over 10 years. In his tenure as acting CEO, Wendell Constantine created opportunities for young talent in the media.
Anybody who felt that they were good enough to be on TV. In one weekend, there were more than 300 nationals of Trinidad and Tobago who came to sit in front of a camera in bright lights and present themselves as news and content-worthy presenters. Some of them are on the air today.
In 2017, a decision was taken to wind up state-owned Caribbean New Media Group.
In 2016, the chairman at the time, Helen Drayton, had the responsibility to conduct a national consultation on the role of state media. And the public's response, not the government's, not the TTT, the CNMG management, but the public's response was, bring back TTT.
This is TTT. Live for local.
It was just so exciting to be putting together the very first morning show on the new TTT. We had like 4 days to put together the morning show, right? And I knew that it had to be different from so many years ago. You had the format of, you know, the hard line news and talk. But I wanted to do something that was breaking that, which brought a level of positivity. You know, I felt like, you know, people want to start their day and they want to feel like, okay, give me something that I could conquer my day. Give me some news. I want some news, but I also want something that could make me feel like, okay, yeah, come on, world, I'm ready. I can take you, all right?
So TTT today is similar to TTT of yesteryear in that we still provide a very, very strong degree and level of educational content in terms of assisting Trinbagonians here and abroad to shape their identity and their understanding of who we are. So I think that is most likely the most critical role that we play as TTT.
TTT now is on the cusp of a brand new future. The role of state media, first and foremost, is obviously to have a running commentary and a running conversation with the population about what the government, what the state is doing, the activities of the state. It's also a responsibility and a further role, actually, to inform and educate the population.
In fulfilling that role of providing public information, we have also been able to provide other media houses with information that it may either be too costly for them to do it as well, a duplication of effort, and also to ensure that the information is disseminated.
We do have to acknowledge the critical role that TTT played in the last 2.5 years, especially in an environment that was as emotionally charged, and that was not a Trinidad and Tobago thing. That was a global issue. You had a global population and a local population that was so full of fear over an uncertain future. You didn't know what was happening the next day. You didn't know what was happening the next hour. And TTT really stood out for me, in particular with its strategic partnerships. One, with the Ministry of Health. Two, with the Ministry of Education. When we were the ones that took education in large part to the children when COVID kept them out of classrooms. And then three, with our press briefings from the Office of the Prime Minister, where we were able to again bring the Prime Minister into the homes of a very worried population, explaining constantly, being driven by the science, being led by the facts, constantly speaking to the population.
Undoubtedly, state-owned media plays a critical role in providing information to our nation. But exactly how does it affect the station's profitability?
So if we look at it as apples and apples, it is difficult to compete. But because we know we are an orange, a very, very sweet orange, and we know that we're different and unique, the question of competition takes a backseat and it becomes collaboration. Exactly how can we work with other media entities to advance our objective, which is telling our story and taking that story to the world. So pound for pound, there are some elements of our operations that compete. But what I'd like to see as an end game for us is going into that unique space that only TTT can fill. And there's a place in the hearts of Trinbagonians that only TTT can fill. We have initiated the revamping of some of our brands, starting with 12 and under. We do have a few others under consideration, which I'll keep on the wraps at this point. But it is really very exciting because just for 12 and under, the feedback has been so positive already. Of course, all of the nostalgia associated with that particular production and how significant it has been. There's no other media house that has contributed to the media sector like TTT Limited, and I say that without apology. And I think that that is a significant part of our legacy, and it should continue to be part of the contribution that we make, not just to Trinidad and Tobago, but to the region and also to the world. That in this space, at 11A Marval Road, we produce stellar, professional, entertaining, engaging media professionals.
I'll tell you one thing though, as a child, I felt like I could conquer the world.
TTT shaped me to want to tell stories about me.
You know, they say Trinidad and Tobago is the mother of all carnivals. TTT is the mother of all media in Trinidad and Tobago.
It means a lot to us all.
You don't need Netflix, you need TTT.
This is TTT. Live for local.
I had a rough year this year. Just want to let down my head. Don't want to forget but remember, no weapon formed shall prosper. I have wings on my heart, the light through the dark. They can't stop me, they can't stop me. If a fire need to start, trust me, I go be the spark. So just watch me, just watch me.